What's up, everybody? My name is Dominic. Welcome to the channel. Appreciate you clicking on the video. Today I'm going to go through about 35-ish prospects I believe the Baltimore Ravens should select, going round by round, just giving base and consensus of who I believe the Ravens should select just because of what their need is and their value at like whichever round may come up. So for round one, I got Hakeem Butler. His height is undeniable, and if you watch his highlights, he makes spectacular catches. He's also a very big target, so I believe if the Ravens do want to stick to that running game type feel, the defense will most definitely have to respect that Hakeem could be there for the trick play. So that's just one of the options. N'Keal Harry is probably the best receiver on this draft. In this draft, he's a true number one, which the Ravens desperately need, but I would still put Hakeem above him just because his height, his size, his target is just massive frame. And then for my third choice, if those two aren't there in the first round, DK Metcalf, just a big target. He's insanely strong, as you guys probably have all seen from the photos, and his bench press is amazing, combine as well. So I feel like DK is just he just didn't have enough tape. Like, he didn't show enough in the games that he could be that first round selection that the Ravens need. Anyways, going on to number 4, I would say Paris Campbell. I would put him above Marquise Hollywood Brown just because he's more of a reliable player, not necessarily on the field, but like injury wise. Whenever I looked up his injuries, he didn't have any spectacular ones or ones that kept him out for very long like Marquise Hollywood Brown did. Like he does have that that injury, so those injury concerns, so that's why I have Paris Campbell if we were to take a receiver in the first round. Then the only other position is Devin Bush, and the only other player is Devin Bush, which would be a middle linebacker from Michigan. His speed is insane. He could replace CJ immediately, and if I could compare him to anybody just solely based on his speed, I would for sure compare him to Ryan Shazier of the Pittsburgh Steelers, or former Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not sure if he's going to come back or not, but regardless, I feel that he would be the best option at middle linebacker, especially in the first round. The only other position player that we would pick without those other 4 players. So moving on to round 2, I know for the start of the second round, I know we don't have a second round pick currently, but if we were to trade and get a second round pick, I believe these players should be in the front running. So Kelvin Harmon, his size, he's like 6'2" frame, route running is spectacular, and he also has that clutch gene that could help Lamar gain a little bit of confidence on the field. Miles Boykin, he's just a bully on the field. His height is nice, it's like 6'3", I believe. The only problem is he'd have to fight for a lot of those jump balls just because he doesn't get very much separation. So with that said, he would have a lot more 50-50 balls. So that would be tough on him and Lamar to just throw it up, because like watching a lot of Lamar last year, he tried to stand in the pocket and make those throws instead of just running the ball. Whenever he had the chance, he would try to kind of show up to the media, I guess. But anyways, moving on to number 3, I would say Emmanuel Hall. He's more of a speed type of guy. So say we didn't take Paris Campbell in the first, someone else did, then we would be able to move on to Emmanuel Hall in the second round if he was available. But he does have a hernia issue, so I think that is the one major downside. Again, is another injury issue. But he's very, he always fights for the extra yards, has a lot of heart in the guy, so I feel like he'd be a good fit for the Baltimore team. Next is JJ Arceaga-Whiteside, I believe. His size is a mismatch, and I think that with how everybody talks about Lamar's accuracy issues, I feel that he would probably be one of the nicest fits, just because the Ravens do like him. They were had a conference call with him, or whatever. They had a visit with him. So I feel like they're already on his good side, or he's already on their good side. And a lot of people talk about Lamar's accuracy issues. So maybe he could help with that, with a lot of the 50-50 balls that Lamar might throw up. I'm not 100% sure, but just thinking. And then outside linebacker Brian Burns, coming from FSU. He's already kind of equipped for that next NFL level. He's quick, a very quick 40, and then he could kind of be like more of that Terrell with the speed. Like, he's a very physical player on the outside linebacking core, and he could just have that speed that Terrell really never had. And then this pick would kind of be like a toss-up. Jachi Polite. He didn't have a very good combine, but it could be similar to the Orlando Brown situation, which we did last year. And he started out and was a great tackle for the Ravens. So it could be kind of his situation. And then to the last pick of the second round, if we do get a second round pick, would be Mack Wilson out of Alabama. Just a great sideline-to-sideline player. Again, in that Alabama defense, just automatically equipped for the NFL, kind of. He already knows, been working with Nick Saban all his college career, so we'll see. And this is the actual last pick I had. Not last pick, but if we were lucky enough to get him, Darnell Savage fits the Baltimore physicality perfect. He is a safety. We don't really necessarily need a safety, but he could, be a nice fit behind Tony Jefferson. A few players that I didn't mention was Deebo Samuel and A.J. Brown, just because I believe we already have these type of players on the team with the new acquisition of Seth Roberts, Willie Snead from last year, and Chris Moore. They're all three kind of like the same slot guys. Chris Moore and Seth Roberts more of like the Deebo Samuel, and then A.J. Brown more of like the Willie Snead, just get those tough catches. I feel like those two guys just wouldn't work very good in the offense, but I could be wrong. So we'll have to wait and see what the Ravens want to draft, and if those guys do show up on the field. Now, moving on to the third and fourth round, I kind of combined them just so it would go by quicker, and these two rounds are kind of dissimilar. So for the first pick, I would probably put David Sills, the receiver from West Virginia. Tough, great ability. There's like a 6'3", I know that. There's like a little documentary on YouTube of him. He used to play quarterback, and he got recruited to go to USC to play quarterback, but I don't remember the circumstances. Anyways, he transferred to West Virginia, then back to like a community college just to play quarterback, and eventually ended up going back to West Virginia and playing receiver. And he was a great receiver, especially for Will Greer's number one target. He would always throw it up, and Sills would always come down. But I was thinking for this pick, he'd be a great number one at 6'3", again, and we could have some trickery on the team. David Sills playing quarterback as a receiver, and then Lamar as running back or whatever. But I feel like it'd be a great asset for Greg Roman's offense. And then Terry McLaurin, speedy guy, late round value pick, gritty, confident guy, coming out of Ohio State. Again, one of those NFL caliber schools, so he could plug and play again. Now next is Jalen Smith, the receiver out of Louisville. Now the reason I picked this is because if you go back to Lamar's junior season, I believe, when he won the Heisman, Jalen Smith was his number one receiver. He has great chemistry. I just recently watched a video of Lamar and Jalen Smith getting some catches in Florida. So I feel like that'd be a really good pick if he does fall to the Ravens. But there's better guys, but the chemistry would probably be undeniable between those two. Then next is Jalen Ferguson, first round talent, but he did get charged for simple battery during his time at Louisiana Tech, I believe. So that would be a minor concern, like off the field issue. Then now for the next pick, I have Chase Winovich. He's speedy, but a lot of coaches and scouts don't like his overconfidence and like interviews, his personality. He just wants to be the face of the team. Maybe not a great locker room guy, but his tape says otherwise. So judging off that, I feel like he's a great value pick for the third round. Next on the board is O'Shane Simmons. He has great size, but he is a small school guy. So I'm not sure if that would interfere with the process that the Ravens are looking at. But another good name to compare to is Matthew Judon. Came from a D2 school. He was like the leading leader in sacks or whatever. But so that may have been more of what they were looking for in a scouting perspective. So, but a good comparison nonetheless. Next is Trey Watson. Great in coverage from Maryland school. Had 5 interceptions for an inside linebacker. That's pretty good. Wouldn't be able to completely replace CJ Mosley, I believe, from the start, but he would be a good developmental piece. Maybe midway through the year, could probably step into that role pretty well. Next would be Taylor Rapp from Washington's secondary. He has great IQ. He's kind of a slower guy at 5'11". I believe he ran like a 4.7, but still NFL caliber. Could be a great developmental piece behind Earl Thomas, and Washington did have a top secondary group, so he could come and be an impact player right away. Another one is Mike Bell, free safety or strong safety. He's kind of like adaptable. His length is great. He's like 6'2", decent speed, but I feel like he could adapt to the run and pass coverage very well. Next on the list is Zedrick Woods from Ole Miss. Small but quick, 4.29 40-yard dash, and he has time to sit behind Earl. Earl's here for four years. He could be like a Buda Baker or a Tyrann Mathieu type of player. Just a fun player to watch. I feel like he could do everything. He could blitz. He's like a small like mouse running through the field, you know. So on to the fifth through seventh round. I have Jalen Hurd. He's a big threat, late value. He was also a running back at Tennessee, where he had his best year. He had about 1,800 yards rushing. So I feel like that could also play into the trickery aspect that Greg Roman's offense could look for. Then we have Lil Jordan Humphrey. He's a dangerous yak receiver. Very gritty too. Whenever you watch his tape, he's always hurdling, or he's flashy, but he's confident on the field. So I feel like he would be a great pick for this Ravens offense. Next is Preston Williams. He's great size. In the late rounds, he could be like a second round talent or better. But he did have off the field issues at, I believe, Texas or Tennessee. I can't remember which one. So he did leave and then get into the Colorado State program. So that is one possible issue, but it seems like he's grown from that, and he's a great receiver. So whatever team gets him is gonna get a great football player. Next is Christian Miller from Alabama. He drops this far just because he was injured in 2017, so I feel teams don't value him as much, but he's still from Alabama, had a great senior year, went all the way to the national championship with Alabama, and he was a big factor in the defense. So whichever team again gets this Alabama player is going to have a stud at the edge position. Next is Cameron Smith from USC, middle linebacker. He's quick, he's improving in coverage, and he was a captain at USC. CJ Mosley was the captain of the defense here at Baltimore. So I feel that motivation, that leadership will probably transfer over once immediately, whichever team he goes to, and it would be a great 5th through 7th round pick, whichever they decide to pick him at. Next is Max Crosby. I would see him better as an outside linebacker just because he's not as big as a D end as like he's listed. He could be like a TJ Watt type player, more of like you have him sitting outside and then you rush him whenever you need to. He can move around from left to right just depending on that skill set alone. He'd also be late round gold. Like, he's from a small school, but he did show signs of greatness in his tape. Then I have Bryce Love. I enjoy his speed on the field, played at Stanford. He did have injury concerns, but teams were afraid of him. They did everything to stop him. He was undeniable force on the Stanford offense. With Christian McCaffrey there, they were both like a 1-2 punch. I remember watching that at the Rose Bowl. And I feel like he would be the only running back I have on my list. And again, he is the only running back I have on my list because we have Gus Edwards, we have Mark Ingram, and there's other speed components that I feel like we need more than anyone in the draft. So speed components like DeLance Turner, who we already have on the team, who was a preseason beast last year, and Akram Wadley. He played for Iowa State, and he also played on the Atlanta Legends for the AAF. So I feel if we get those two, those are more of like the speed components that Lamar needs to thrive in Greg Roman's offense. Appreciate you guys watching the video. These are my top draft prospects for the Baltimore Ravens, who I think are the best fits in each round. Note, I did not add any offensive linemen because I don't really know much about stances and offensive lineman type things, so I didn't really want to include, but I do understand that the Ravens interior offensive line is probably not the best and we could improve, so the draft would be a great place to start. But again, appreciate you guys watching the video. Please like, subscribe, and comment down below who I missed, who maybe an offensive lineman that would be a good fit for the Ravens, or anyone else. See you guys later. Peace.